that's one of those things that's very upsetting as an attorney, that we had an agreement reached with his attorney that yes, he would be transferred out of there and he'd be transferred into the system. So then when I filed a motion with the judge saying it's not resisted, you know, so he can go ahead and issue the order, well then he resisted. So it's one of those things, I'm bound by everything I say, but the defense counsel is never bound by anything. That's just the way the system works.
Better off not saying too much anything.
And that's set for hearing.
June.
Paper said June 22nd.
I was gonna say, but I didn't think the judge had continued it that long, but I think that's right, June 22nd, June 23rd.
60 days, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That'll be here.
that was here. But, the child's attorney has filed a motion to exclude the public, which I'm assuming will probably be granted by the court. I'm just telling you. I don't make the
Why do
rules.
you want to exclude the public?
Go look at the file, because it would be damaging to irreparable harm. So that's where we are on that. The rules of justice trying to exceed this.
Okay, item number 3, pre-treatment plant update. Tom, on deck.
Well, we've got a lot of progress, and last time we talked, we had talked about doing a few individual bids in the project of some important things that the county can do on their own without having to tie into the general contractor scope of work and deal with markup and insurance costs and stuff like that. I'm gonna be ready, in fact, I'm gonna get everything ready for a bunch of tanks out there by the end of May. I will be poised, so I'll be on the standby whenever you folks get the financing stuff figured out. We'll go, but just to let you know that by the end of May, I'll have that package ready, okay? And just be on standby. The second thing is that the primary process out there is another unique and independent feature of the site. That particular company is writing up a proposal for you folks. It'll be the same situation. It'll be ready on your desk, on standby, for whenever you guys figure out the financing for some of the stuff, okay? The tanks, just to give you a broad range, I'm thinking they're gonna be between 1.2 and 1.4 million dollars. The cash flow for that would be that, say, 30 to 45 days after you made the award, there might be some mobilization costs, which maybe it's 15–20% of the project, and then the rest of it would just be kind of equal for the next 3–4 months. The equipment is closer to $1.8 million. I haven't seen the draft proposal yet, so I don't know what the down payment for that is, but that would probably be due real soon after signing. So as soon as I find that out for you folks, I'll let you know, because I know that all comes into account here. And again, that stuff will just be on the standby. And whenever things are ready, we'll go out and take care of some business. So, other than that, low-stage plant, that's a lot different. We can't do these kinds of things there. That's going to be one contractor package, and that's moving along at a great speed. The DNR is being a hindrance a little bit, but we got some information flowing again good now, so I think we're okay there. So, and I've requested from Brenda to talk to Val to get an update on what their project schedule is, because I got to work in both directions. I got to be done when they're done, but I need to get going in enough time to make everything work. So,
Why don't you just stuck around? I got a question. How long can the county operate on a memorandum of understanding? I mean, we have increased that number on that memorandum, you know, as this is going on, yet we do not still have a development agreement. You know, is the place going to be built and then suddenly we're going to have a development agreement, or are we going to just build it on a memorandum of understanding?
I will go back to what I've told you guys many times.
Run.
No, no. If a person's word is good, 2 paragraphs and a handshake are enough. If a person's word isn't good, 100 pages aren't enough.
Okay.
So, on that memorandum, I think everybody has a clear understanding as to what's going on. If their word is good, I really don't have a problem going right up through the end of the project and saying, okay, now that we know what everything costs and we're done, let's sign the agreement. Everybody has to trust everybody here. That's a terrible thing to say, but you really do. I mean, because things can change so fast, so much.
And it's a huge investment, so.
I mean, we've got this, the signed document that clear, if things really go bad, we can say, okay, here was, you know, the understanding. That's kind of what it boils down to. A person's word is, and a company's word is good or it isn't, and that they seem to have a good reputation, so. They can sign all the documents in the world, but you know, it's like when these companies say we're gonna provide 500 jobs for 2 years at this much, but then when they don't provide them, you know, there's no money to go after them anyway, so what good did that agreement do you?
Well, it's just sometimes, you know, it seems like we're getting deeper and deeper into this, and it's gonna be done before we ever get any paperwork done.
Would you like me to give you an update on the
Would you
development
please?
agreement? I was kind of sitting here. You know, I hadn't heard from the company for a few days, and I actually, on the way up this morning, got an email from BBC that says, yes, we have the draft of the agreement, yes, we've made our first run through of it. Can you get on the phone with us at 1 o'clock on Thursday? So we need to be patient. We're going from a 2 or 3 page document to a 24-page document or something like that. So rather than, all of us have conceptually looked at the document at a high level. Now the attorneys from there, so we might as well get their attorneys to react and then our attorneys can react. So it is in the works. I am very confident that we will see a signed agreement soon. Keep in mind, just as Attorney Walk has mentioned, as worried as we are, you know, they're a lot more worried because their investment is much larger. So we just need to trust the process. We knew that this document would take a little bit more time just purely because of the length of the document. So Thursday at 1, we'll have a conversation. There'll be activity on the agenda here in a little while that I'll speak to as it comes up. But just as, you know that it is in the works and it's not sitting on a desk somewhere in California. So.
Just as an update on that real estate, I've been in contact with them, and I have emailed them copies of everything, waiting for them to okay everything, and once they okay everything, then I'm gonna send the originals out. And I just don't see any problems going on with that, so that should be taken care of, I would think, within the next week or so. Then I think the next thing is, there's some type of a lease agreement that has to be drawn up between Mitchell County and the city of Osage. So somebody's gonna have to start getting the terms and conditions and all that stuff on that.
I think that's being worked on.
Okay, good.
2 acres is gonna be enough, right?
Yeah, I had asked for 200 by 400. It's in a roundabout way about that same size. The only thing that we're gonna have to do differently, and I'll have to work with you guys and Rich a little bit. I need to fill that ditch in front of there, and we'll run a culvert and stuff through there. But the way Valent has it graded right now, the ditch grades way into the property because of how deep everything is out there, and I mean, lose a lot of space doing that. So that's the only thing we got to do. But like I said, we'll throw a couple culverts in there. The whole property drains to the north anyway, so none of the site proper drains to the ditch. So there'll be no intakes or anything. We'll just have to provide drainage through that ditch yet.
I know we had talked to the engineer, you know, about filling in that whole ditch all the way down.
Yeah, and I don't know where that's at, but
Well,
at least I'll have to do at least my portion of it.
Right, we're doing, you're at 400 and some feet,
Yeah.
I mean, then you've only got, what,
Yeah,
another
to
2,000?
the west, there's not much more room.
No, there's another 500 foot there, and I don't know how far, you could just go to the end of the project
Yeah,
and then have a,
yeah.
you know,
so we'll work that out, but yeah, otherwise I do have enough room. It's tight, but we ran tractors and everything through there and trucks and trailers and it works. There's no room for expansion, of course, so obviously they know that when they expand their plant, we need to, or somebody's gonna have to build on adjacent to this one to treat that extra flow, so I think everyone's up to speed on that. So like I said, I'll just, all my stuff will be done, and as I get some good numbers and stuff, I'll get them on to you guys, especially with that agreement with the treatment plant, process. But the tanks, what we got is we've got, I think there's 7 tank manufacturers, and we'll direct mail them, the plans and specs, plus we'll go through the public bidding, scheme of things on that. And whenever you guys are ready to pull the trigger on that, that'll be ready to go.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Richie just walked in, so maybe we can have this conversation
okay.
about the filling the ditch here. Come on in, Rich. Got a question for you, Randy.
Hey, on that, east-west road, that's on the south side of Valent.
Yep.
I know there had been talk a little bit about maybe filling that whole ditch in along there. At the very least, I'm gonna have to work with you to fill in my piece of property. It's about 400 feet long, only because Valent shows that ditch as being pretty deep and it extends onto the property.
Where, how far down is it? Is it beyond where their fence is?
No, it's, this doesn't tell you much. Here's the corner over here, you got Alliant, or not Alliant, you got Heartland Power, and you got a little bit of a gas easement, and then you got us, as you go eastward.
Okay.
And this is, I don't know, Pops, some of their sheds are like right here. So
Oh, you're further
it's
to-
further to the
okay.
west. But the way Valent had this ditch graded, it goes past the right of way, and I'm already a spacer between them, so what I'd propose to do, and I'd work with you on it, is we'll just culvert all the way through here, because our drainage from the right of way is to the north.
Okay.
So there's no surface flow this way anyway, and if we just gotta convey the water, it's already in the ditch, we'll just put a big tube in there and call it good. If
Yeah,
that- if
we'll
that
look at
works
it
with
if you wanna, are you headed back right away, or do you?
We're still a long ways off from this,
Okay.
Rich, so I'll get
Yeah,
together
we
with
can
you
look at it.
one way or the other, but, we'll get that taken care
I
of.
talked to that Gilbane yesterday, and they were talking, can we still fill in the ditch? I said, yeah, fill it in, I don't think we need to go all the way down to Pops, but I mean, just in that area where
Yeah.
they wanted to, and I thought, just because that's where the traffic is, but yeah, we can talk about that, that's not a
Yeah,
big
cause
deal.
if you've seen their site plan, their, retention pond is still easterly of this piece of property, so we're not going all the way to the end of what they're developing.
Okay.
But again, and we would take care of that as part of the project, we'll work the, culvert sizing,
Yeah,
materials, all that
yeah.
stuff.
Yep. Yeah, we can talk about it, that's not a big
Yeah,
deal.
we're a ways off, but we'll get together. okay?
Sure.
Alright, cool. That'll help me out there, cause I won't lose too much property, but,
Yeah, we hate that move the road.
we'll let you move the road. I'll also have to work with, Mark Ross a little bit and, understand what I can get variances from for setbacks from the right of way for some of the buildings, cause I think I might have to be a little closer than what the ordinances allow, but, we can work through that too. That's all I got for right now, except we're on schedule as far as I know. Hopefully whatever information Valent sends back on their schedule doesn't destroy my thought of, thinking on that one. But, I think everything's going really well. Again, as soon as you guys figure out some financing stuff, and if we need to have more meetings, just you let me know. I'll come anytime you guys need, and we'll hammer those things out and get them out, get some bids going, and keep the project at least ahead of schedule. I'd like to do that.
Okay, sounds good. Alright.
You look like you got questions, Stan.
No, I think though that we should have our financing at the end of the month, ready to go, so.
That is cool. It looks like we're on track. Very good. Very good. Well, I'll probably, I'll be back again this month then, or whenever, maybe I'll talk with Lowell a little bit, whatever. We'll work it out so that I show up at the right timing for this stuff, because I'll need you guys' resolution, motion, whatever, to go out for bid on some of the stuff, so. I'll work it out depending on how funding stuff goes.
You should be able to come to our board meeting on the 29th.
Okay. That's great then. I'll just plan on that. Do you wanna shove me on the agenda for the 29th there, Lowell? And it'd be, there'd be a decision on that day to, go out for public bids for a portion of the pretreatment plant construction. That worked out very well.
Those tanks come in sections.
They're rolled steel plates. They're bolted stainless steel tanks, so they'll come in on probably 8 by 10 foot or 4 by 10 foot sections.
It's pretty hard to drag a 50-foot diameter tank
No.
on the road.
You can't do that. They'll build it on site,
Yeah.
but very cost effective. Well, great.
Sounds good, thanks,
Yeah,
Tom.
if anything turns up weird, I'll find out about it, we'll let you know, but, we'll see you then. Okay, you guys have a great day, thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
very much.
Yeah, do you need me around for anything here?
Fine.
Hey, Rich, county engineer, update.
Oh,
Go ahead and check those potholes out in my orchard you talked about, Bob. They were little ones,
Yeah,
right?
they weren't very big.
Yeah, we
Maybe
thought
a
you were
pull-up.
talking about at the railroad tracks last time, and they're putting a new rail crossing in there, so we don't wanna mess with it, but they're further north, yeah, we got our patch
you know, 100
yesterday,
feet north or,
and I had them cut a little brush around those signs that were down there, so that's
yeah,
taken
if
care
they
of.
get them while they're young, you know,
Yep.
they don't,
Yeah, no kidding.
before they get too big.
Well, and they were setting with water in them yesterday, so that's
Yeah.
not helping anything.
Nope.
So we got them knocked down.
Good.
We told them to go put that light up south to answer at that private, or that public parking area there. We're doing the blading we can with all the wet roads. I mean, the roads aren't very good, but we can't do much with them when they're this wet either, so hopefully it'll.
Had an inch of rain yesterday, I guess.
Yeah, that doesn't help a lot of things, so we'll stay on top of the best we can. After we get some dry weather, it'll be a lot easier to maintain. I spoke with Gilbane yesterday out there at Valent. They've got their gates up, so it's just a matter of us getting our signs up. They did ask about some extra signs that they wanted to put up. Now typically, we don't allow any signs in the right of way that aren't related to traffic or anything else, but they've asked if they could put up some direction signs for traffic going into the Valent plant up on the Orchard Road in the right of way. They're a 6 foot wide by a 3 foot tall sign that says deliveries, and it's got an arrow so they know that they gotta take that road. I personally don't have a problem with it. I don't know if you guys do or not. I know that, you know, a lot of county engineers get pretty picky with the right of way and what they put in it or not, but I think this being a special circumstance with a temporary thing, it's not a permanent sign, it's temporary for 3 years, but I mean, it's one of those things where I think that maybe we can allow them to put in there, and they're not high retroreflective either. That's really not a concern to me, because it's not anything that has to really do with normal day-to-day traffic, it's specific for that
Not a
site.
safety issue.
So, then they've got another sign they wanna put up, kinda getting towards the gates a little bit, where it says, starting May 1st, which we're already at, you know, this road will be closed 6 PM to 9 AM, so that people have an awareness of it. And then we've got our level C signs in, and we have some older level C signs that we offered that we give them to put on their gates, so that there's really no confusion as to what road you're on. It's a level C road. So other than that, we just got to schedule our one call so we know where to plant the sign posts, and I'll let them know where they can put theirs if you guys are okay with that. I didn't think I'd have too much objection, but just to make sure that you guys are okay with allowing a couple signs in the right of way there that aren't typical.
It's just temporary.
Yeah, they'll come out when the project's over with.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to ask Rich, you said 6 PM at night till 9 AM?
Till 6 AM.
Or 6
6 to
AM,
6,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Then people can use the road during the day, or are you saying if?
Typically, that'll be open from 6 AM to 6 PM.
Okay, somebody that uses that road to go to work they
Well-
called me and I said, well, I know the gates are up and they're gonna close the road. but I
Depending
don't
on
know."
when they go through there, and they're
Yeah.
trying to avoid having all that extra
Yeah.
traffic.
No,
but
it was early in the morning when they go to work, I mean like 7 or so, yeah.
theoretically, they should be open, but I think they're probably gonna learn in a quick hurry, they don't wanna drive.
Yeah,
But
no,
that's, yeah.
thank you.
And then when they start going to 2 shifts, it'll be open a lot longer during
Sure.
the evening, but
Yeah.
that's where they're at now. They're gonna use a combination lock, so they don't have to have keys out, so they're gonna give the required people a combination lock, and if we start seeing problems, they'll either change the combination or go to a key lock, so.
Write the combination on the gate,
Yeah.
'cause I can't remember.
So,
Will you have them,
I will,
okay,
well,
you'll
I'll
share it too, right, won't you?
maybe, yeah, well, people that need it will have it, yep. Last time we talked about radios a little bit, two-way radio system, I talked to Kurt a little bit, sounds like he's staying analog, but, I went a little bit
I
further.
did find my, I did find my, I don't know if I brought it along either, but, yeah. A lot of them are using the analog and just,
I've talked to 2 people, Circle K is who we use out of Trail City, Electronic Engineering's out of Mason City. I first asked Circle K, cause we were using them for the longest time on radios, to give us a quote for analog, and then I thought, let's go get another one with analog and an analog digital. And throughout this whole process, it got really confusing as to, you know, you talk to each salesperson, and it's, I don't want to badmouth the other guy, and you're just standing there going, okay, what do I do? So I'm looking at maybe possibly what's best for the county. Right now, the way it's looking, analog digital is the best way for us to go, because it opens the door for the future to get digital in versus, I got a quote right now from Circle K that's, depending on if we put a duplexer in, which I'm told we don't need to put a duplexer in, and that's a $3,000 unit. That's a lot of two-way radios we can buy for $3,000 bucks. So right now I'm opting not to put a new duplexer in, and that doesn't even, that's just a unit that doesn't have any power to it. It just takes care of the receiving and transmitting through one antenna. That quote is for $19,240. I have to replace 8 radios that are able to be converted because they can't convert them for me. So I lose the capacity of 8 radios. Now if I go to electronic engineering, they'll convert all my Kenwood radios as well as my Motorola radios. So I don't lose any radios in the process. So that was $19,000 for their analog. Now I had 2 quotes from electronic engineering, one using an ICOM radio and one using a Motorola radio, and they're substantially cheaper there too, $14,500 and $16,700. Now if I go look at analog digital, the Circle K analog digital option is $30,000. The electronic engineering analog digital is $21,000. I budgeted $20,000 for radios, plus I can get 4 more radios than I could with Circle K. That I think maybe the best option for us to go is that analog digital. It opens up the door. At minimum, I think we should put a analog digital transmitter in, or the repeater. Because if anything changes again, we don't want to buy it again. And I think if we're buying new equipment, I think we ought to buy the equipment that can be utilized in the future. So I think I'm going to do a little bit more crunch on these numbers to make sure I'm doing it right, but I think we're going to have to switch who we go do business with, and we'll still be okay. So I decided to give you an update on those radios. And it's not going to be what, you know, Kurt's got analog. We'll still be able, we're probably going to operate on analog for a little while until we get more radios in the system that can be digital, and then once we get enough radios in the system, we'll flip the switch. And that might be a couple of years, but the radios will last. So.
Well, what I was thinking of is I thought at one time somebody, one of those Motorola guys gave a presentation, said at some point in time they're probably gonna do away with analog altogether.
Yeah.
But they could not give us a date.
Right.
And then the information that I did find on that, there was no date on that. All it says, 2013 you had to have this,
Right.
whatever.
There's a little bit more detail in these digital analog radios, where the Motorola radio has the GPS capability. If you buy the software, you can track. Not that we're trying to keep an eye on the guys, but
But we should.
well, there's also some things that we can know where we've been. If we get those calls and say, when was the last time you were here, we can go up. Now the software's expensive, and we're not going that option yet, but that possibility is there. Versus with Circle K's analog digital, it's not. It's another add-on to the radio to get the GPS capability. These are already built in. Plus, Motorola's digital has it's a different technology where in one frequency they switch the phase so you can talk 2 ways on it. It's complicated and kind of confusing, so I don't want to try to explain it, but the options are there. They call it TDMA, and so I think there's probably a few more options for a little bit more cost than analog, but I think in the long run we'll probably benefit from it. So. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. The McIntyre Bridge is open. It was a little punky there for a while. It's going to probably take some time to stabilize. I drove over it this morning. It feels okay, but we'll need some work on it. I mean,
Sure, take some time.
it'll take some time to get everything punched back in, but it looks good anyway. We've got a broken tile north on March, where Monument and March meet, that we're going to have fixed on Friday. I don't know where it's confusing. The water, according to the plans, is supposed to run north. Tile looks like it's running south, but there was a break in the road, and it's making the shoulder really spongy. So we've got somebody coming in to fix that.
Right there, by Simon's.
Yep. Where Mike Molmack farms that field on the west side, it's washed out the shoulder of the road, and we've been trying to figure out what the heck we have there, and we don't have any plans that show any, all we got is guys that can tell us what may be out there, and we might have had a sub-drain in there that is broke, but somebody must have tiled into that sub-drain too, otherwise it wouldn't be pushing water the way it's pushing, because we don't know where all that water's coming from, so. We'll get that looked at on Friday. The guys are on their 410s this week, they started, so.
How about the other bridges, any update on?
Not from WHKS yet, I'm gonna start looking at some more of those, I think. I don't know what we can do, that that one on the dog leg, that one's a bigger structure, and that one doesn't have the traffic to get into the bridge funds. So we're gonna have to try to figure out a way to use local dollars to try to fix that one, and I don't know when that'll be. Minnesota's gonna try to do their replacement up on the county line, on the state line there within the next, probably by the end of the month. What we told them was, the intersection north, will allow them to widen that intersection so Mertens can get out. They also have a windmill road they can get out on, which I think they drive all the time anyway. So they're not locked in, it's just not convenient. But once they get that bridge done, it's back open more. But that's gonna be a big box, I mean, that's gonna have to be a big box over there, it takes a lot of drainage, so, I mean, I'm thinking that's a $200,000 box, at minimum. And then the other ones, I think I'm gonna try to see if I can squeeze some more rail cars in, run some more numbers. I know the one on Timber, that's the north one, that one can be a 12x8 box depending on what flood level it is. We do a 100-year flood versus a 50-year. 100-year flood is a 12x8, a 50-year flood's a 10x8. Now, a couple feet probably doesn't change the dollars that much, but that's also box culvert. So that one I think qualifies for bridge funds. I've got it in program, so we'll see where that one takes us as far as when we can squeeze it in. And then the one south of there, the other one, the one that's limited to 5 tons, that one's gonna be huge too. That one's taking everything from the north, you know, if the very north one's a 12x8 box, what's it on the south? Because we've got a series of 12-foot diameter culverts, and we've got a series of six-footers. I mean, there's a lot of water. So,
Well, they're hoping we'll hold that water back, aren't they? I have a guy, or person wanted to know about 105, on the way to Carpenter.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do anything with those bumps.
yeah, I was just talking to Dean about that yesterday. We're trying to find, I know we've got some bubble patches we wanna do on the river road yet, and I think we were looking at that. I don't know if we, because that 105 where that bump is, where we got it signed, it's an asphalt overlay on top of that concrete. If we wanted to patch it, we could bring concrete all the way up to the top, but then you're trying to match into an old asphalt overlay. Maybe the quickest thing to do is just do a bubble patch over it.
Well, that's what I'd mentioned to him. Possibly.
What we're gonna try to do is try to find a series of spot bubble patches we can do again this year, maybe make it more economical to bring somebody in to do some spots around the county.
Well, we did bubble patch up on Indigo, wasn't it, by the quarry?
Yep, those 3 in series
Oh.
there.
How are they holding up?
I haven't driven it for a long time, but I think they're holding up okay.
Yeah, I've taken the bus over it,
And
and they're a lot better than they have been. For the
when I do those bubble patches, I like to grind in the header instead of just skimming to nothing, because then if we skim it out, then our plows have a tendency to pull it up and make a more severe bump there. So it costs a little bit more to mill in that header, but I think in the long run, that patch lasts longer.
Well, I drove that Walnut down to 360th or whatever it is, you know, where we've done all those bubble patches way back.
Yeah.
Those bubble patches are still a whole lot better than the rest of the road, and they're only, what, 2 inch?
Yeah, if they were that, it might have been 1.5 inches, but, yeah.
Should've done the whole road 2 inches, it'd been perfect,
Yeah, I find the money, you know.
cause the bubble patches were the bad part, and now they're.
Well,
they're
you
still-
kept the water out of the bad part, so now it's stabilizing again.
Yeah.
I mean, all the water was getting in there and didn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
And everything's stable underneath, but now you kept the water out, and now it's stable again. But plus, you got a little bit of interlock there.
The other thing too, did you ever get any more information from the fellow that was gonna grind the concrete roads, or?
No, he hasn't come yet. I haven't. He was supposed to be coming in May here, so he hasn't stopped in. He was gonna be in the area, and he was gonna call me when he got here.
Well, on T38 going south, that's, you know, pretty much like this, and it does get an awful lot of truck traffic. And were you thinking bubble patching by the bridge?
I don't know what I wanna do there yet.
Okay.
I mean, to me, the right fix on that bridge is to take the approaches out and rebuild them. Cause if you bubble patch that, you're gonna have a steel mill down at the bridge abutment, try to feather it out.
There's any mill there.
No,
And
there's,
chunks
I mean, you'd have to
flying.
mill, yeah, so,
Yeah. Well, I just was wondering, I mean, you know, that would be,
that's,
because other than that, the road seemed pretty good.
yeah, it's, you know, it's just funny how you get down in that valley and it's all, and you get up on the hills again, yeah, it's got some panel faulting, but that's where a diamond grinder would take care of some of that.
Then I was up on the river road, and we evidently had frost going out or something, because there was a few rocks in the road. Does anybody
Yeah.
ever ride that?
They do once, yeah, they
Okay.
try to. I see, I've driven it too and kicked rocks off, and the next day you got more rocks on it again. I don't know if they just kinda tumble down after rain or what, I'm sure some of that moves around,
Oh, I had.
but, I'm gonna be gone Friday. And then I've got
I'll be on Friday.
yeah, we'll be going to the same place, and then the 21st of May, 22nd of May through the 25th, I'll be gone. No, through the 24th. So, just to give you a heads up. I see you got a nice little sign, nice little picture on the sign there. Picture on the sign, yeah, nice picture on the wall. That looks like Worth County's flag mount system.
Probably is Worth County's flag mount. Real easy to build.
It's got PVC to hold the flags, and it's got some, I don't know if it's angle iron, or if it's just
Just
tubing.
2 pieces of flat
Flat iron, yep. I had one of the part-timers make something for our lab, but I want to get some heavy duty. I don't want the flags that wave, they wear out. If I can get some red reflective material, we'll get them mounted on those 20-mile-an-hour signs. I had them change those signs in Toterville. I don't know what they were thinking. They put up the little yellow ones you'd put underneath a curve sign. And I drove that Friday and I said, this isn't right. I don't know where they came up with the idea that those little signs are an enforceable speed limit sign, so they changed them. But I don't know where that came from. But we'll try to put something up there in Toterville and McIntyre as well. Get somebody to, you know, have something stand out a little bit more than a white on black.
Going west of McIntyre to Underwood, and then turn south on Underwood, maybe somewhere between 50 and 100 feet, there's water bubbling up out of the middle of the road.
Really?
There was last year.
Okay.
I just wondered if that ever was taken care of, or if it's doing the same thing this year. Somebody thought maybe a tile runs under
I
the
think I
road.
remember that now. I haven't noticed anything this year.
Okay.
It's doing it down farther actually, Bob.
Is it
Where it
further
used
south?
to do it, it's further south now. When you would turn on Underwood South, just barely past the intersection that usually was bad right there.
Yep.
Now
Now
it's
it's further
down.
south.
Now it's farther south.
Okay.
I just wonder if there's a tile that comes under that road or something's wrong.
I'll see if anybody remembers putting a sub-drain in there. But
Yeah, check it out. If you-
Yep.
I just seen written on my map here, reminded me. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
No, other than building a few of these, but
There's good rain days coming up. It looks of it. What are they talking for tonight?
I don't know, the whole
I think they got rain every day for the rest of the
This
week.
is what they call a softball. I don't feel like playing.
Possible hail and high winds.
Yeah, I can't play softball in that kind of weather. That's too dangerous.
I heard possible tornadoes too.
Okay, thanks a lot,
Would be
Rich.
severe weather.
Home run if the wind's going the right way. See you guys, thanks.
Next item on the agenda is the minutes, approval of the minutes.
I read them.
Yeah, it looked pretty much like it was.
Some of,
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 24th, 2012. Roll call vote, Walk,
Aye.
Copelander,
Aye.
Morale, aye, motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a question, please?
Not at this time. Moved on to items of note. Meetings attended.
Okay, I had county County Social Services last, Wednesday, down in Charles City. And our agenda was, item 4 was to transfer funds from the member counties to Blackhawk, or not Blackhawk, but Butler County. Just for your information, Mitchell County was to transfer $373,367. That would be the last transfer for the year, fiscal year, and that would should leave us with a balance of $62,265, if Bob's numbers are right. We went over the budget for the year. We should end the year with a $1.9 million carryover. Depending on what the legislature does. If they take back all the Medicaid, we may be in the hole a little bit next year, but not much. There's a lot of questions to be answered on that mental health thing. How to fund it going forward. You know, every county has their own levy. Mitchell County's levy is the highest of all the member counties. Some of the counties do not at this time even levy their maximum. So at some point in time, that's gotta get straightened out, I think. I mean, and I think the state is looking at doing it by a per capita rather than, you know, a dollar amount levy. So anyway, that was our meeting down there, and then on Thursday I went down to Tama to Heartland meeting. We listened to and acted on a new TPA. As you recall, a year ago, we went through this whole process, but the TPA that we chose really didn't perform real well. That was at Thomas McGee, so we now are moving to, forget the name of them. Oh, that's good. Creative Risk Solutions out of Des Moines. And one of the problems we had was that these other companies were not Iowa-based or didn't have offices in Iowa, and they were not really up on especially work comp laws, and there would be so many mistakes. We always had to have you know, lawyers look at, basically follow them around, you know, making sure all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. So this new company is Creative Risk. They're out of Des Moines, and Judy has known the lady or the gal that runs that for many, many, many years. And she was one of them that RFP last year also, but we just could not come together on the money, you know. And so hopefully this will work out a lot better. And then we also listened to our loss control. We were not real happy with the loss control people that we've gotten. Here we are towards the end of the contract year. Last month, half of our counties had not even been visited yet for that whole year. You know, we didn't feel that they were really doing the job that they said that they would do, and they couldn't really give us an answer as to why they weren't doing the job. So we did vote to go back with Arthur J. Gallagher to do our loss control. That's who was doing it a number of years ago, but then they lost their loss control person, and they were without a loss control person for 6 months. We decided, you know, at that time, you know, RFP for new loss control, and we did. And there again, it didn't work out too well, and so we thought we'd go back to Arthur. And the gentleman that they did get and brought on board is still with them, and it's very good. I mean, he gave a nice presentation, and I think we'll Mr. Goodman, I guess is his name, and I think he's been to our county before, because before the end of the contract with Arthur J. Gallagher last time, they did bring him on, but by that time, so many of the other counties were disgusted with, you know, the performance that they decided to just give somebody else a try. It didn't work out so well, so. Anyway, that's what basically was our meeting on the 26th. So that was my 2 minutes.
Well, why don't I combine basically the Worth County one yesterday with, last week I attended the OMU board meeting, gave them an update on progress on the gas line. Basically, they want to go forward and see what a final bid number would look like, and after I left the meeting, I believe they committed $5,000 towards helping to pay some expenses. And Absolute Energy also has committed $5,000 to help pay for some of the expenses that are going to be necessary to go forward. So that was good. Worth County yesterday got wind that Alliant Energy was wanting to attend their board meeting and to talk about gas. So I went over and sat in on that meeting. Basically, Alliant claimed that Diamond Joe had approached them on bringing gas out to the casino area. And so they were taking a look at actually tapping into their 60-pound line that services Northwood and running gas from that direction. The way they explained it, and now that I'm starting to get better knowledge of how gas operates in that, they would be looking with MDPE line, which is plastic. They couldn't go over 110 pounds, I think, at the max if that was the strongest plastic that they make. In any event, they were not, they said by law again, they could not build any excess capacity into the system. Basically, if Worth County wanted to put some upfront money into it, the best thing that could happen for Worth County is in a 10-year period, Worth County could get their money back if they got additional customers to take the excess capacity. So if they're really looking at trying to do economic development in that, the program that Alliant really provided them would not be a workable program. If they just want to take care of Diamond Joe and a little bit extra retail, then yes, that possibly could work, but that, so that's anyway what Worth County is facing. They also want to see what the final numbers are going to be. Brenda's going to approach Worth Betco on coming up with a little, so I didn't say anything to the board yesterday about any type of contribution on this. This afternoon, we'll be trying to meet with some representatives of OMUs, holding a workshop this afternoon at St. Ansgar. Absolute will be there. We're going to have to start hammering this thing out to see, because I say there's about 10, 12 balls that all have to be juggled at the same time, and yet again, we have to come up with a final number, and we may or may not go with it, but until we know those final numbers, why? So that's where, that was the meetings I was at.
To manure management plan update.
We have one from Osage River City Ag, section 34 of Cedar East Township. No changes.
Just the one?
Just one, yep.
Okay. Pat, you had a question?
I did. It's regarding the courthouse issue. I called and asked to speak one-on-one with my supervisor and was told I couldn't do that at this time. So that's why I'm asking the question here to the board. I have a hard copy of the letter written by the attorney to the board, and a copy sent to Attorney Watt regarding the courthouse. And I'm wondering, one, if there's going to be or has been a response to that letter by anyone. And also, in the second to the last paragraph, it says that it is possible to demand a special election to vote on either either issue destroying and or building a new courthouse. And I'm wondering if you've given that any consideration at all at this
I
point.
think you'd have to refer that to the county attorney.
All the questions that I asked? Okay.
County attorney said we will follow the letter of the law.
Well, apparently this is the letter of the law from this attorney.
You need to take it up with the county attorney.
Okay. And there's no way I can talk to anybody about this?
Not when litigation is threatened.
A legal matter now.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a comment. I go to a lot of public meetings, and always OMU, the Hospital Board of Trustees, the City Council have, at the beginning of their agenda, a public comment time. And there's never been anything here, and it seems like, the point seems to be lately that the public is kind of squelched as far as saying anything. So I think it would be appropriate for the Board of Supervisors as a public body, and, seeing that all these others have that public comment time, there is nothing that you do. And Bob, you seem to be in, I understand control of a meeting, but, it seems that you have kind of a way of total control that seems to the public that they don't have an opportunity to say anything.
Well, they can, if they have a specific topic, they can talk to Lowell and get on the agenda.
But I think there should be a public comment time. This is a public body, and I think the public has the right to speak. Whether it just be a comment time.
There again, you should take up with the county attorney. He's told us we do not have to let the public speak. These are public meetings in the public, but they're not public meetings.
No, but why wouldn't you have a public comment time, Joel?
That's the chair can decide that.
And I think if you'd ask the county attorney, he'd say he doesn't have to answer any questions to the public.
Well, we'll stand adjourned.
Oh,
Yes.
Mr. Quick, I did forget one other meeting.
Okay.
Thursday morning, I did attend the hospital, as long as Betty mentioned it. And what was kind of ironic was, at the beginning again, I did explain I was still not comfortable with the hospital not having their own attorney. And I felt there's a conflict of interest. 30 minutes later, there was an agreement between Mercy and Mitchell County Regional that was supposed to be signed, and two of the board members said, looking it over, they really didn't know what the agreement said. They were somewhat concerned that was the agreement looking out for the best interests of the hospital in that. And so they basically ended up appointing an individual from the hospital to gather more information. And after the meeting, that's when I explained to the chair, Mr. Lassard, this is exactly why you want to have your own attorney, to look over these type of documents, to look out for your best interests. You don't happen to have just somebody from the hospital asking, and who are they going to ask? Are they going to ask Mercy's attorney again? Is this a good document? Well, hell yes, it's a good document for Mercy. I mean, what?
Yeah, who's paying me?
Yeah, I mean, so I really just thought that, I mean, there was really a point right there that why they need their own attorney, and I don't know that they'll...
It was kind of interesting, John Lassard's response to you, wasn't it, Stan? Oh, really? Yeah.
I'm sure that's how he conducts his business. He hires whoever he's trying to make a deal with, their attorney.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's how he does it.
So,
About that.
Well, can I ask?
There's
Well, we have
creative
to-
risk solutions, I guess, if you guys want to pass it around, that's the people who the region are.
Well, can I ask a question? It has nothing to do with the
We-
courthouse or anything. I just wanna know how we could, how do we find out about these meetings, like the one for the gas line in St. Ansgar, other than, like, I go on the internet, I know, but I don't come
Posted
into
on the bulletin
Osage.
board, I think upstairs.
And Lowell-
Can we get these,
Ask Lowell to
on
put
the
you on the email
website?
list.
no, Lowell will put you on his email address if you
Okay.
ask him.
Thank you, Lowell, will you put me on your email address?
Okay.
Cause I mean, I just found out about it late last night.
Well, this just came up here, in the last day, so.
Yeah,
This
and-
workshop, and it's a workshop, I mean, there's no decisions are gonna be made, but we
Right.
have to be able to, and we do wanna post it so that the public is aware that,
I know, I just think there'd be more attendance if we kinda had a better system, but not everybody uses the computer to check for meetings, I understand, but I just wondered if there might be a more progressive way rather than posting it here at the courthouse. But the email will work for me. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'd like to run over and see the county attorney first, what,
You wanna meet at county care?
10:15, would that work?
I won't be able to make it at 10:15, but you guys, you two go out? I got a funeral.
Oh, okay.
Vice can
Or
take
otherwise, you two can go and I don't have to, I mean, why don't you guys go out there?
Yeah, we can go right now,
Yeah,
okay.
okay, I'll,
Stand, we're in recess here at 9:30. We'll convene at the county care facility at